Remember, this is a man that said he wants the transition to be smooth. Well, you don't do the kind of things. You don't have a judge working real hard to try and embarrass you, because I did nothing wrong. By the way, I did nothing, absolutely nothing wrong. If I did something wrong, I wouldn't be standing here right now, because I've won all these cases. Nobody's ever won so many cases as I have against the Justice Department. I mean, Jack Smith had cases all over the place. People were being subpoenaed, lives were being ruined. They were spending everything they had, money. We were helping them out. We had to. They brought this moron out of The Hague. He's a mean guy. He's a mean, nasty guy. His picture was perfect, because you look at his picture, you say, that's a bad guy with his robe, his purple robe. And he executes people. He shouldn't be allowed to execute people, because he'll execute everybody. He's a nut job. But we won all of those cases with him. And, I mean, I don't know the judge in Florida, but we had a brilliant judge in Florida that saw right through it. And we won the case. She was a brilliant judge with great courage. You know, the left, as we call them, the radical left, they have a way, they play the ref, and they play it very hard. They play the ref.
You know that once Trump goes this far down a hyperbolic spiral of anger and viciousness, there's something serious that he wants to cover up. Not sure how Jack Smith is trying to execute everybody, but in Trump's mind, it means there's possibly some extra damning information in Smith's final report on the prosecutions against him.
President-elect Trump is trying to block the release of a report from special counsel Jack Smith. Lawyers for Mr. Trump say they received a draft copy of the special counsel's final report. It addresses the investigations into election interference and the classified documents found at Mar-A-Lago.
They filed a motion last night asking the district judge in Florida to block Smith. They cited that judge's previous ruling that Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. The special counsel is required to provide a report to Attorney General Merrick Garland, and he can choose to make it public. But Mr. Trump's lawyer sent Garland a letter asking him not to.
Did you hear that last part? The special counsel, Jack Smith, is required to provide a report to the Attorney General, who then can choose whether or not to make it public. You know, but listening to Trump tell it, you think that Jack Smith is some rogue special counsel that has always been on some kind of vendetta mission against the prosperity of the country by doing his job of prosecuting a criminal for his criminal activity. You know, this is the kind of skewed lens that this president presents everything through.
More than 140 police officers were injured by rioters on January 6th. Will you pardon anyone who attacked a police officer?
Well, you know, the only one that was killed was a beautiful young lady named Ashley Babbitt. She was killed, and there was actually somebody else that was killed, also a MAGA person, but people don't give it 100% credibility. I'm going to find out about it, and we're going to find out. But Ashley Babbitt was killed. She was shot. She had never been shot. She was shot for no reason whatsoever. In fact, they say that she was trying to hold back the crowd, and the crowd was made up of a lot of different people.
I just wish someone would recognize the obvious dodge and tell him, you know, the question was, will you pardon your criminals that attacked and injured police officers, since you claim to be the party of law and order that backs the blue? You know, he doesn't hide his blatant refusal to answer questions about his promises to pardon the members of his mob, so he just rolls down his grievances list just to keep the focus on how unfairly he was treated so that his followers never forget to sacrifice themselves for him.
You said on your first day of office you're going to pardon January 6th defendants. Are you planning to pardon those who were charged with violent offenses?
Well, we're looking at it, and we have other people in there. And as you see, I guess 24 or 28 people came now from the FBI. That came out very quietly. Nobody reported it, but they had people in some form related to the FBI. They had 4 or 5 people that were strongly related to the FBI. We have to find out about that. We have to find out about Hezbollah. We have to find out about who exactly was in that whole thing, because people that did some bad things were not prosecuted. You know, I see it all the time, and you see it too. People that were doing some bad things weren't prosecuted, and people that didn't even walk into the building are in jail right now. So we'll be looking at the whole thing, but I'll be making major pardons, yes.
There were some bad people doing some bad things in that whole thing. And then he was like, Hezbollah, FBI. Zero details and partial explanations, simply to avoid the fact that he keeps talking about pardoning violent criminals after campaigning on reining in crime. It's just a chant for a rally in some small MAGA city that he'll never think about again. just like his vow to not be a warmongering president.
That all hell must be paid if they don't release the
You know what that
hostages.
means, don't you?
Well-
Do I have to define it for you? Look, all
No, I know
hell
you're not
will
gonna
break out.
telegraph
If
what-
those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Can you elaborate?
And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was, and many people are killed. They're no longer hostages. But we have the right person. But I tell this, I don't want to hurt the negotiation. If the deal isn't done before I take office, which is now going to be 2 weeks, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Yeah, he has no idea what deal that he's advocating for. He has no idea how little Benjamin Netanyahu wants to participate in this deal. Doesn't even know what indiscriminate parts of the Middle East that he's promising to unleash hell on. And he definitely won't bring up the fact that Joe Biden just approved the sale of $8 billion worth of weapons to Israel to unleash some more version of some hell that's somehow different than the hell that those innocent people that have experienced under the Biden administration have gone through. So is he going to be a war president or not? Was Joe Biden's participation in this mass killing of so many innocent civilians something Donald Trump agrees with? Well, here's some more conflicting points from the self-described warmonger in chief.
Your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you, you're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something.
No follow-up about how he claimed he's the only guy that'll stop wasting American tax dollars on wars and sending your sons and daughters into conflicts. Just some more blatant claims that he'll use the military to settle personal scores that he's got with Panama, where one of the hotels that his company was operating was embroiled in criminal activity and operating fraudulently before the name was removed off of it. They were forced out and sued. It's really easy to be an immense con man that can't even keep his characterizations of himself consistent, as long as you got supporters that refuse to listen to what he's telling them. It's all forgotten as long as he keeps saying America first enough times.
Mexico's really in trouble, a lot of trouble. Very dangerous place. And we're going to be announcing at a future date pretty soon. We're going to change because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too. And the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers, record numbers.